Okay, everyone, welcome back to SABADO Sessions Podcast. We are your hosts, and today we have none other than Indy. We had to bring him on because a lot of shit was popping off in the DMs and anonymous questionnaires and that. So first things first, bro. What I know you made a compilation in terms of like what was the normal consensus or the general consensus of what you were getting. So let's begin with I don't know. What do you want to begin with, bro?
So I want to clarify a few things first. When I first started this off, I never said who in British powerlifting do you hate, which it ended up turning into. It was what do you dislike in British powerlifting. Like I thought it was a pretty easy thing to cover. In my head, I thought people are going to be complaining about nationals venues, the little oddities that BP have going on, AGM matters, stuff like that.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
just sort of it dissolved into a feral free for all. I tried to share as many as I could, like unbiased, even the ones about me. Plenty about people watching anime, which I disagree with. But there was loads, and there's quite a few that I didn't post as well, where it's just like people anonymously just bashing other people. But there was quite a lot of themes within the anonymous as well. I was posting them as they came, so I couldn't post them in groupings of what those themes were.
Yeah, of
But
course. Yeah.
there's a lot of resentment towards certain actions and stuff that goes on within British powerlifting. And I'm not going to mention any names because people are going to cry. But like the fact of, and this is again nothing against Nottingham Strong because I like the gym. There's a lot of questions regarding venues chosen for national standard meets. And even going into the meet, we had a lot of why aren't people turning up? And even though I agree with during the mall with regards to people at work throughout the year and they need to turn up to the nationals, there I also then agree with a lot of people that are saying, why would I pay X amount to come to this meet and essentially train in a gym, regardless of how good the meet is? It's a comp in a gym when I can wait a couple of months, do all Englands, for example, in a venue that's massive, that's properly done, and it makes you feel like you're lifting at a nationals. I think I had honestly about 1,500 responses. Genuinely
1,500, bro.
1,500. I can't even, like, when I'm going through my anonymous inbox, it's insane the amount there is. And out of those, about 80 to 100 were with regards to national venues and national level events not being what they should be.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is because like powerlifting in America is now so mainstream, generally speaking, their comps being so up there in terms of how they look and how they're
Yeah.
presented, it then puts more pressure on us. Like, and I know the comparison a lot of people made in my inbox, I didn't share these because they're direct conversations, is they're saying, oh, we're only the size of like one of their regions. So technically it's like their region standard. And I'm like, even their regionals, if you look at them,
Yeah. Of
they're
course. Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
They're massive. They're really well done. But like there was so many with regards to the venue, the way nationals are run and stuff like that, that was a big chunk of people's complaints in the anonymous. Look at last year's venue. I'm not being
Yeah.
funny, but when I turned up, I was like, have we got to the wrong place? I came in and like 50% of 60% of the gym looked like total wipeout with that, the monkey bars and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then the warm-up room, I remember Paul had to bring a bar in and some
Extra
plates in.
plates. Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't this is where the pinnacle of BP is nationally. And I'm like, nah, I wouldn't pay for that again. And then being a dickhead I am that I did to the NSF.
You,
I think
you, yeah. I just want to carry on from like, you mentioned about the USA thing. There's a lot of drama going on there right now. I don't know if you're made aware, but with the whole like Marcellus team and the Flex team
I
and
saw
whatever.
that. I saw
Yeah,
that.
man. But other than that though, like there's internal dramas going on there, and I'm pretty sure in your anonymous, bro, there was a lot of shit like being sent to you, and you were just like, whoa.
Yeah,
And
because I didn't share them. I know people are gonna hate because I did share a lot that were bashing people, but those were like the Nando's mild, bro, lemon and herb or
Um,
whatever it is. I don't order it, you get me? So I don't know what it is, but that standard is the only ones that I shared.
so
The
basically,
ones
what
that
you
were proper
showed,
spicy,
yeah. So what you showed was just the tip of the iceberg, bro.
tip of the iceberg. Like I don't even want to say them because they're so individual. Like I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't. Brown man, I ain't paying for the unlock. Tell me what they are
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I ain't spending money on that because it doesn't bother me. But even when you click on it, it just says we might give you hints of who they are. And I was like, well, essentially, you don't know who they are anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the stuff was like X is a Y, and I hope X happens to his family. Like these style like shares.
Yo,
Yeah. Some of them were
You know,
horrendous.
that
And
that that tells me straight there's a lot of hate in British powerlifting, right?
oh,
There's a lot of us where you meet these people, they smile with you, but deep down they want you to fail, right? They want you to buckle your knees, especially if some of us are getting old. They want me to like pop my hip while I'm fucking squatting on the platform. So these things actually, this is what people thinking behind those, which is really sad for me. But going back to the subject about the meat being trash in powerlifting, I think this year, everyone that is subscribed in for our newsletter, they've seen an email that came across by the Championship Funding Support Program.
yeah,
So I would love to get more insight into it in terms of like what does it entail? Championship support program, yeah, SPD is behind it. Thank you to them by supporting us. But what does that mean? Does it mean they're gonna put money on it, or does it mean the federation will do better, or what does it? Because something, I mean, you guys probably too agree with me. No matter what we say, no matter how we go on about these things, something has to be done when it comes to the national championship in Britain. They're not up to standard.
I think, right, and it's not even, I'm not even stirring the pot here or taking sides, clarification. I think seeing the way Northwest has been running English is put like a hold on a second, maybe things can be done better. It's not been done better yet, but like, you know, the way they do their sponsorships, the
yeah.
fact that they're putting money to the lifters, like you look at that and you think, right, if a single region can do this and can like bring the level of the standard of the venue and the competition to this standard, then why can't it be done at a national level when you've got everybody involved?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it just so when like the standard is so, but then a region itself can actually raise it as opposed to like a national level. But yeah, man, like I wanted to carry on with the other questions that you got because I know you made the list. There's an extensive list that you made of what was the themes. But
Yeah.
my question to you is like, well, still powerlifting related. What would you say was like the most like controversial you that was
So
done?
there was a lot of like coach bashing on it. And it wasn't even just coach bashing. Like one of the coaches that was bashed, I agree with. Carry on. I shared all of them. Don't care. But some of the others, you don't know if there's basis behind it. You don't know if there's a reality behind it. You don't know if what these people are saying is true, or if it's just a case of people have an agenda against said person. But there's quite a few reoccurring names, and some of these names are coaches that are coaching to a national standard, so to speak. And there was a lot of question marks around how do these people get into a position of power, how are they allowed in to a position of power. Now we've seen that in America with everything that kicked off, and you know, Goob was sharing a load of stuff with regards to what's happening there and how predators have got into positions of power and there's no checks being done or nothing happening with regards to them. Now it's come to my attention, right, that apparently you don't even need to get DBS or enhanced background checks done to be coaching or at that level, regardless of if it's, you know, the national team or whatnot.
Juniors and sub-juniors, bro.
Juniors, sub-juniors, apparently all of them. I don't know how true that is, but if it is true, then there definitely needs to be something that happens, or some sort of resolution, so that
So is this in Britain, right? We're talking about here.
In Britain, yeah. I can't comment on other nations, I can't comment on international meets either, because how things work there, I don't know. But like every sport I've ever been in from the time that I was a kid, I know for a fact that the people who are teaching, coaching, leading, doing anything, they all have to have like enhanced background checks done before they're able to work with children.
Yeah, of course, because at the end of the day, these are kids you're handling. You know, these are kids you're talking to. These are kids you're hanging around with. Do you know what I mean? You have to make sure the person that is handling our juniors and sub-juniors, whether, I don't care where the level is. It could even be at the nationals, right? You're handling at the national, handling the juniors and sub-junior. This person needs to be clear. Not some random that you don't know the background, you know?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I can't remember if it was in the anonymous in particular or I saw it online, but it's a case of, so if a sub-junior's at a meet and they're getting weighed in, they should have a responsible adult with them to go in to the weighing in room and make sure that, you know, everything's fine, there's no questions, no queries, no weird shit happening. But that should just be the standard, because if you're having to strip down into a weight room to get your body weight checked and stuff like that, you need a responsible adult there. Who's that adult going to be at an international, national level? Are they, you know, are you allowed family members with you at the international level to go in there? You know, what checks are done on that person to make sure that they're clean when they go into that location, male or female, regardless. It's just questions that were asked within the anonymous, like, what the hell's going on? What is this? Like, how does this work, sort of thing. I don't have answers, because the information's either not there or is not made clear or just hasn't been thought about.
Oh man, but
either way, that's not an excuse. And it's not a particular, it's not pointing fingers at a particular person and being like, why haven't you thought of this? Like, looking at the USA thing that happened, there was a lot of things that slipped through the cracks, and now there's cease and desist letters going out to Goob and other people, like, why are you sharing this information, sort of thing. Like, I don't want us to come to that stage where,
of course,
where when, like, is it USA Powerlifting is coming across to the UK and doing things, you know, this could take people away from British Powerlifting to other federations, and they'd be right to do so if this sort of level of questions are raised.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, to an extent, there needs to be some sort of transparency, right, as to what British Powerlifting is like doing, and who are those in, you know, in a position of power, like you said. Like, if they should they not, you know, not do DBS checks, there must be at least some form of like I don't know. There's still some form of vetting that needs to come about, because fuck, man, like.
And also, like, I think with British Powerlifting, they need to be clear with it, you know, in terms of like our policies. As you said, there's some sort of the vetting policies, the rules that people need to follow. I know a lot of people listen to this, they will say, oh, all the information is on the website. Yes, not everybody can go on the website and find the information. Not everybody can read. I'm sorry to say this, but not everybody can read. Some people have got disability that does not allow them to do these kind of things. So we need to find a way how this information can translate or can be populated across the lifters or across these community we're building. Because at the moment, as you said, Indy, we can't really say much because we don't have the info and we don't have many things, many facts. But if the information is out there, anyone who's listening, they have to find a way to get that information to us or to everybody else around. Don't just point fingers, subscribe to the newsletters, or go to the website. Again, I'm always get pissed off when someone point me to the website, because you don't know my condition. Why are you sending me to the website?
Yeah.
You know?
There's one thing where, like, you have to navigate it, and you know, before the whole like having a disability thing that could prevent them from navigating the website in itself. But there's also the form of how it's, I guess, shared. I feel as though it's quite outdated. Just here you go. Here's a newsletter. Like, bro, are we like in like the 1990s, bro? Here you go, newsletter.
Yeah, the information's not disseminated right, and it's not like the information sharing isn't approached in, I think, an appropriate way, because, like you said, if I got everybody from British Powerlifting, just lined them up, and I went around and I was like, what's going on in British Powerlifting, or what's happening, or what changes are there, what happened at the AGM, what's going on, how many of them do you think would know? I think it'd be a very small portion of those people would actually know the ins and outs, the things that are happening. But that then doesn't also stop them from commenting on it or writing random stuff on the anonymous, being like X is Y and Z's this and this is happening, because that's going to happen regardless. It's human nature to just latch onto a piece of information you've heard and be like, that's bollocks, that is, without finding out. But then when you try, and because I tried to find out myself about this sort of stuff, I was like, well, let's just see if there's any basis to this. I couldn't find it. And I deal with internet and computers all day, every day. I've done it my entire life. It's still quite difficult to find, like, even that sponsorship thing that we were talking about at the Nationals. I don't know what it is or what it entails. The newsletter didn't really clarify things. I knew it's a good thing, but that's about as far as it sort of got for me.
Yeah, because what I got from it, they just said, I know a few people did repost this saying, oh, now we need the promoters to come forward. Yeah, promoters to come forward. What's the next action? What are you selling me? To come forward to do what? Do you know what I mean? So it's just that I think, again, as you mentioned, the information is not being translated properly in Britain. I think that's been going on for years. And people like us, when we sit down and talk about it, people will be thinking, oh, you're just bashing on this person or just bashing on the federation. Like the last pod we did, I got a lot of DMs, people telling me, oh, why are you bashing on people running the federation IG account? Or why are you bashing on the CEO? No, you know, if you are a CEO of a company, no matter what goes wrong in the company is in your head. It doesn't matter who did it. You know, it's the same thing that's happening in IPF. Anything that goes wrong in the Senate Federation, it goes into Gaston's head. It doesn't matter who did it. You are the president, so you have to take responsibility of it. You know, that's what people sometimes don't understand. That, oh yeah, Indy is the one that sent the email, so you should point fingers at Indy. You shouldn't be pointing fingers at the federation. No, people outside Britain will say, okay, look at the British powerlifting is run. They let their athletes do shit like that, and Indy do memes like that. You know, Indy should be doing memes like that. British powerlifting should ban Indy. Do you know what I mean? And British powerlifting would be like, oh yeah, it's not us, it's Indy. That's bullshit. So all I'm saying is like, they need to be clear about what they're giving people.
See, the thing is, they're clear when they want to be. So I posted memes a long time, well, before Europeans. I posted memes about a certain person who failed a drugs test. I got an email within days saying, stop that, you can't do that. And then we clarified matters and things. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then within 3-4 days, and I'm not saying this is related at all, but it made me laugh that within like 2-3 days, the new social media policy came out. And I was like, so when you want to do things that protect you, you can. But when things benefit the community, there seems to be a sort of, shall we, shan't we, can we? Do you know what I mean? Like if things can move that fast, then why can't they move that fast when you're looking at protecting the community or you know, boosting the support for the sport in itself? Another thing that cropped up off the back of this is the AGMs. Why isn't it online? Why aren't we able to visit them? Why can't we do Teams and Zoom calls? Like within my work, I work at quite a high level. We're able to do polls and stuff online. You know, it's very easy to have secure connections and confirm that the people that are coming in are the people that should be in this course. It's very easy to do things like that. But for some reason, we're stuck in this old school mentality of, I don't know, paper slips and turning up to a you know, a parish council bloody court, basketball court, and doing things there. There's at least 15-20 that were around, what the hell's going on with this? Why can't we do this in a better fashion? Why are we so stuck in like 2004, like insert your floppy disk? Like, come on.
Yo, you
Do
know,
you think? Sorry, Joey. Just let me ask into this. Do you think if we change the structure, how or the infrastructure behind how AGM is run, do you think it will get more lifters engaged and it will get more voice around it?
1 billion%. Oh, 1 billion%. Like, there's no way that it can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you increase accessibility for something, you're gonna have more people turning up. It's just how things work. Because at the moment, the AGM's like in random locations, and you have to turn. Not everyone's free for a day, right?
Yeah.
But everybody's free for an hour in the day, 2 hours in the day. It's very, very easy to make time for things like that. And like coming off COVID and stuff, how apparent, you know, virtual working has become.
yeah.
This should work along the same ways. And I know quite a few people brought this up and it was just completely ignored.
You know, the point I was gonna make earlier about the whole AGM thing, right? So, India, I know you must have attended one or two. I know Juris and I have. And I'm not gonna shit on the federation, but I'm just gonna shit on how it was run. Whereby, you know, first of all, I'm pretty sure a lot more people would have been there had they had like you said, had they had like the day for it. Not everyone can spend a day for it. And then even if they can't, they could send someone else in that can, you know, use their vote as a proxy vote into the matters of what's happening in the federation in itself, right? And I find it so like unfair and like very fuck it. It's just messed up, man. Like people that it will affect the most aren't there, and then they only know about it through like trickle down methods of what's been decided at the AGM, like a couple weeks or even months down the line. Like for example, when even when the qualifying totals went up, like after it was announced, it got trickled down ever so slowly to like the actual lifters themselves, who it matters to the most. Like I don't obviously I'm not gonna try to point fingers here. I don't know. I'm not gonna say let's blame this, that, and or the other. But just like what you said, it's just forever. It's just forever, like, you know, supporting the cause for like, yo, there must be a better way to do this. Because man, from when people are responsible for other people's votes because said person couldn't make it into the AGM, I think that's messed up. They could be thinking otherwise. And that other person's using that vote to be like, all right, cool, that sounds good to me, but it may not sound to the person that I'm using a proxy vote for. It's fucked. It's
I mean,
so fucked.
I'm not a fan of the proxy method. Like you said, there's so many ways of exploiting that.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you could just go around getting people to sign like sheets of paper that they don't know what's going on, and there was rumors flying around about people doing that when it actually happened. But like, if you're saying that, you know, online isn't secure and you can't verify votes, etc., how do you then verify proxies? Like, how do you know that's not disingenuous? How do you know that this hasn't been, you know, done in a way where the person doesn't know what they're signing up for? You know, because it's very easy to say, look, just do this and then don't worry about the notes, it's fine, just sign your name on this piece of paper and I'll proxy for you. It's very easy to get that guy's opinion or that girl's opinion and be like, what do you think? Then be like, yeah, I think that too, I'll vote on your behalf. And then when you get there, you're not actually thinking that, you're voting for something completely different. How do they know? Nobody knows. It's just, it's a very backwards way of doing things.
Yeah.
So, my question to the Q&A that you put on Instagram, I know there's a lot of themes that came, and there's a lot of lifters that were venting about the Fed, venting about championship, and even coaching and the method in Britain. So, would you say these lifters, they go to the point where this anger is coming out on channels like that is because they're not being listened to by the federation?
I think there's a split. I wouldn't say every single one is that. You know, there is a quite a significant portion where it's a case of like reading through them. They're at the point now where they're like, I don't even care anymore. I don't care. But again, do you not care enough to actually say it with your own voice? You have to do it through an anonymous. Like, have you done it through your own story? Have you tried to like approach this in a matter that will? Because let's be honest, right? and I'll be perfectly frank, that anonymous, generally speaking, isn't going to do anything, because the higher ups aren't going to pay attention to it, or they're only going to take the negatives. So essentially, even though we can get themes and sort of we can get an idea of what people are actually pissed off about, in the long run, it won't do too much. But it then allows us now to have this conversation where we can bring up the actual matters that do have an impact on the sport, and actually talk about them. But going back to the point, yeah, they're real concerns from real people, and I genuinely think they are agitated by certain things. They are annoyed by the way certain things are happening. I wouldn't say all of them. There's quite a lot of shit stirrers in there. There's quite a lot of people that in there, and they're like, I just want to ruin someone else's day. Like, fair enough, if you have that mentality, crack on. But you then can't also ignore the fact that there's talk about the nationals, they talk about the AGM, they talk about, support, they talk about are people actually qualified and clear, to be able to do work with sub juniors and juniors. There's many other things that are very, very important things that are just, I think every single year they're overlooked.
Yeah, it does give off that like it just glazed over. But that's the vibe that seems
it takes people to a breaking point, because if they want changes and they're not seeing the changes, eventually you're like, right, then fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I can to either bring this down, B, sink the ship, or like just be like, right, it doesn't even matter anymore, I'm just going to be a nuisance.
What? Okay, so no, okay, so from everything that we've discussed so far, I take it, you've had a bit of time to reflect on it, because I know it was a few days ago now that you had those anonymous
Week and a
questions.
day. I was going to do another one this week, but have it more. No, but I was going to do it more like proactive. I might actually do one and just be like, or get you guys to do it, right?
Yeah.
So we can, spread out who gets banned. Have it so that I'm not going to share people bashing people. I want genuine, what is British powerlifting doing wrong? Why do you think that, and how we can improve it?
Yeah, because that was actually my question to you now, like, because obviously you've heard a lot of the negative shit, but was there anything from it that you took and was like, okay, maybe if this was to happen, maybe it could be like the positive change for the federation or the lifters or anything?
It's wild, because initially there was quite a few where it was like that, but as the anonymous went on, it sort of just devolved into anarchy. And at that point, it was just negative. Do you know what I mean? It's very difficult to
bro.
draw
1,500, bro. I don't know how you sifted through that.
So I didn't. I just had a look, and if it was generally speaking, like, I shared 98% of them, I reckon, because I was like, it's not me saying it, I'm just sharing it. This is what people think. But like, if someone's just being like, X is a nonce, and I hope this happens to them, and I'm just like, right, okay, I'm just not going to share this one. Some of them I sort of just not ignored, but like I chose to omit, that weren't like positive or had no constructive criticism at all. But the general point, I think, are still correct. Like, there needs to be things done better, and I think we're at a precipice now where next year there's the elections, and I think if done right, there might be a lot of positive changes from them, or if not done right, or people just ignore it, or I bet a lot of people probably don't even know there's elections next year, to be honest with you. But there you go. It might be a case of positive changes from that, because it's only ever when people's, not jobs, but like when people's interests are on the line in this case, or like jobs are on the line of being axed, they're all of a sudden going to be like, hold on a second, maybe we do need to do a better job. Because this, like, for example, at the national level, people sponsoring should have happened a long time ago, or it happened, like, All England showed it was possible last year, and they made it very, very clear what the gold sponsorship means, what it is, what you get in return. Like, it's very, like, the thing that they shared is so clear in terms of what the lifters are getting out of it, and what the sponsorship, the company sponsoring, is getting out of it. That's very easy to do, but it wasn't done.
I think I might get banned. I might get late on this one. I'm about to say, when you mentioned about next year, the elections coming, people don't really know about it. I believe this is really me. I don't care what anybody says. I believe our Fed, they do this shit on purpose to keep this information away from the lifters. But when the election comes in, they don't get enough vote, and some people carry on doing what they're doing. I really believe, I genuinely believe that, because if you want a free federation that listen to people, that care about people's vote, this election thing should be advertising from the get-go for people to be aware that it's happening. So the people that we're voting at the top, we are proud the people that we put there. Not just a random person that we don't know turn up there, because we didn't have no candidates, so that person want to carry on doing their job. They've been doing
or just buy like proxy votes, bro.
Exactly.
Like his best. Can you imagine some candidate's best friend be like, "All right, cool, I got 100 proxy votes from."
My old man is a politician, and I know how politics works. Right? The only reason all this information has been suffocated is because the people that are sitting in those positions, they want to remain. When the time comes, people like me and you and Indy wouldn't know when to vote. It would be like, oh shit, it's too late. I didn't even see what's happening. And then the next thing you know, it's been postponed another 4 years.
I mean, the people listening to this, right? And hopefully there is like a lot of British powerlifting listening to this. It needs to be a case of you're aware now that next year there's going to be elections. That if you want to see change, you've got to be the change. You've got to participate. You've got to actively take part. You've got to raise your concern.
And not just any change either, but literal and actual positive change, because it could be a change for the worse. And that's a potential.
Just posting F my man on my anonymous, generally speaking, as much as it will make a lot of people laugh, is not going to have any like change or impact to British powerlifting. So if you genuinely are concerned with the way things are going, or you're concerned with the way things are being approached at a regional, national, international standard, then you need to do it off your own back, with your name, with your email address, your British powerlifting number, so that people can be like, okay, X amount of the membership is unhappy about this, because there could be 5 million responses on anonymous, all pointing to the same thing. That's not going to change the way things are working in British powerlifting.
Because it's not the correct forum to be doing
exactly.
it in. Yeah, you need to go to the proper channels, and the only way to get through the proper channels is, again, being aware of the elections coming up next year, and like for one.
I believe, right? I really believe changing a leader or changing a team does not make a difference to an organization. It doesn't. If their organizations, because every single organization has got policy, they have got rules. It's like, let me just say, would you say Obama was ruling America or he was governing the country? No, he was just a bloody president. But the countries already has rules and regulations that have to be followed. Nothing Obama changed. It's the same thing with like British powerlifting. Changing the top isn't going to make a difference. But the difference will be is us thinking the policies are not working, the rules are not working. Can we change that? If that, as lifters, as members, we fight to change that, that's how we're going to see the change. I really believe that members, we need to wake up and fight for those rules. Don't fight people.
The thing is, all right, cool. I'm going to sort of interject with that in the sense that I think it does matter who's at the top, because there are times when like specific kind of change was warranted or was wanted, and it was warranted. But the way it was lobbied and the way it was done about, it was just rejected completely. And I'm not gonna highlight a specific thing, because I think it's too obvious who was involved. But time and time again, only because of, I don't know, probably it didn't fit into the wants and vision of the person like at the top right now. But it could have been beneficial for the majority of us, but they just didn't want it.
The thing is, I think on the flip side, there's a lot of questions that are constantly raised each year that are ignored as well. Like, for example, I had quite a few, and I'll read this exactly how it is. It says, junior nats always being held during peak exam season. Now, as an open lifter, like, we might just ignore this. But this one stood out to me because it's like, I get it, you need to have it in a certain timetable, you need to spread them out, or X, Y, and Z needs to happen. But like, if these juniors are going through their exams at the moment, and even sub juniors, if they're going through their exams at the moment, they're like, right, peak. When you're peaking and having to do a million other things at the same time, it's not as viable.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And this has been brought up I've seen this being brought up every year. Every year, there's always at least 50, 60 people that are like, fucking hell, what am I supposed to do? I can't do both things at once. Why is this held at this time of the year? And then every single year, it's held the same time of the year. So that's like an issue that's been raised over and over again, that's been ignored. And this is just one of many that's been raised over and over again, and it's just completely being ignored. So I think people are also at the point where they're like, there's quite a lot of people that have just given up. They're like, right, if our concerns and our questions, our queries aren't being answered, then what's the point? Like, I understand persistence and I understand sticking to your guns and all that, but like, there's only so much you can talk to a wall.
And the other thing as well, I think I'm going to deviate a little bit here, something that came to my mind. I was about to write on your Q&A when you sent it, but I thought to myself, no, let me just say it in the podcast. Do you know we don't send team to Western Europe anymore? Right? I know this is probably not the topic we're talking about, the Fed and all of that, but it's part of it. If we want that development, we want that team to grow, we want people to get that experience, or what we so-called international experience, you need to give them that option. Fair enough. I'm going to go to the British this year to fight for the top spot, which is probably I'm going to get. So what about that person that comes second and third? What are they going to do? So you want them just to what? Wait and do another divisional and do it national again next year, right? What about if they never be the person at the top?
Yeah.
You know, this is the things that I've been going over this conversation for a very long time, because you see Europe, right? If you see some nation in Europe, they're developing, they're becoming so good and heavyweight, it's because they're investing into their talent. But us, the investment we are asking is things like that. Give people the opportunity to showcase their skills or their strength elsewhere. It doesn't always, because the thing is that when you go back at the British, for instance, the British this year, anyone who's coming to the British is, top 3, top 2, whatever, fight for international qualifier. Right? So how many of those will hit that international qualifier? Doing the numbers, there's not many lifters that will hit that international qualifier. So what are we going to do with the rest one? Again, all of that, I believe, all of that come down to the federation. All of that come down to the federation not listening to the lifters. You know?
I think that the development thing's like a big thing for me as well. Like, I only like recently, well, last year, I found out how like the French do it and how the Swedish do it and how much support they give their lifters. There's a reason why certain countries dominate the way they do, is because they're given their sport from grassroots to that elite level. Do you know what I mean? Like, for us, I think it seems to be a case of that there's the grassroots teams that are like, quite a lot of them are junior or uni lifters who like hype each other up and get behind each other. And then you got the middle group, which is like people who just work and do their own lives, and then they compete because they enjoy it. And then you got the elite that are given a certain amount of support and love, but like there's no cohesion, there's no team spirit, if that makes sense. Like the amount of hate from people to people within British powerlifting, I've never seen this in any other sport, in any other thing that I've been part of, regardless of what it is, whether it's a job, whether it's a hobby or a sport. Like, it makes me laugh, right? And it's an international thing, but like, you remember when Agatha was shouting on Jessica? That should be the norm, but it's considered exceptional in powerlifting. And I think that says a lot. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't a go at her, this isn't a go at Jess. Like, fantastic lifters, you should be supporting each other. That should be something that just happens. But like, that's, people look at that and people are like, wow, there are people like that in powerlifting. And I think that sums up powerlifting, because that also means that 99.9% of people then would be like, fucking, I hope she fell. Fucking, I hope this happens to her. Like, and I've seen it in the anonymous. People are just like, I hope X fails all their lifts at nationals. I hope Y gets injured at nationals. Like, these are genuine anonymouses that I've got. And then there's also the ones where it's like, X group hates Y group, and X group's just posting about Y group, and Y group's just posting about X group. And I'm like, listen, just at each other on your own fucking Instagram. if you don't like each other that
Bro,
much,
it's because they're
why are you
shook, man.
not?
It's because
Why
they're
are you?
it's because they're shook. Like, there's something about doing something anonymously, yeah, that just gives people a bit more. I don't
I think
know.
it's beyond. I think it's the behind keyboard syndrome, syndrome, isn't it? When someone is behind that keyboard, they can say whatever they want and they wouldn't say on their face. I wish someone could say that on my face, mate. I wish.
Because someone tagged you and Mo in about 4 of them.
I know.
Like,
I saw it.
Mo and during the
I
Mo.
just ignored it. I was just looking at it. I just ignored it. I was like, do you know what? Don't get involved in that shit. If you need something, come and say.
Do what Mo does. Call yourself the villain for 4 years, and then when someone else calls it, you get hurt. No, but like, genuinely, there was so much hate towards individuals, and some of them weren't dropping names, some of them were dropping names. But my question or my statement to those people is like, you can use your own Instagram too. Like, someone said like something about me on there, and I was like, you know where I'll be at the British. If you have an issue, either at me on Instagram or come to me at the British and have a conversation face to face. This is let's have a fight. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is have the conversation then. Like, have those conversations, because unless you have those conversations and use your own name and that person's name, then it's nothing. Like me just sending a letter, writing on that letter, X is a prick, and throw it at my window and be like, why didn't he respond? I'm like, what? You haven't said it to that person, have you? So how are they supposed to respond?
You know what? I was gonna. My point from there, yeah, is that, you know, like how, you know, if you have a problem with X person, just go chat to them. I think majority of the time, bro, like, people hating on X individual don't even know them like that. They just heard from someone from a third party information almost, and then just base their like sort of idea of them from there. Like, Durance knows me, and I know Durance. Whatever we hear about people, we 10 times, like 9 times out of 10, we don't really care, unless it's someone we personally know, and it can be like, you know, clarified that and verified, sorry, that it did happen. But other than that, man, like, why would I base my opinion of an individual that A, I've never met, and B, I only heard it from someone I probably hardly know. You know what I mean?
The thing is, like, again, as well, with these responses like that comes through polls like yours, Indy, is we all know as lifters, right, so-called nationals or divisional, whatever the level of people label us, we know not everyone will like me. Not everyone will like my lift. You know, not everyone will like my approach to the way I do things on the platform or outside. We're aware of that. You know, we're definitely aware of that. So me, I always say to people, if you got something to say about my approach to the way I do things, if you want to get more information, just reach out, mate. You know? What?
Going off that, Durance, bro, you need to start listening to music because you train, because I don't like your approach, bro. This just...
You could just hear him breathing, bro.
All I hear is the click of your knees. I'm like, I get it. You're nearly your masters. Chill out, bro.
Fuck off. But the reason... I used to listen to music. Well, Joey knows this. I got speakers in my garage.
Yes,
I used to listen to music, but I stopped because music became a distraction to me. Let me finish. Some people think like, oh yeah, music gives me the hype. Music doesn't give me nothing at all. For the past few years, music hasn't given me anything. So I rather look at the bar, listen to my knee click, and the bar and the weight literally slam each other. That's more than enough for me. Right? That's one reason I don't listen to music.
Rumor has it, in like, you know, where you cut the wall off that you squat in front, you just wrote Sheffield 2024 on that, and you shouted it before you do your lifts, and then
you saying
visualizing that.
This is not even a rumor. I have in my head, not even in the wall, anything. I have a picture in 2018 in Canada when I did my first international. Joey was there. After, when they do the ceremony, I was behind Gibbs. Gibbs is standing on the step. Owen on the left. I think Owen on the left and Russ on the right. So Russ came second, Owen third. I was behind. I said to myself that day, I was like, I will never gonna feel so small like that again in my life, because these three guys made me feel like a pagan. They made me feel like an insect. That's how I felt, because I looked at my total, I look at what these guys were doing and the clouds they had. I was like, fuck, I will never gonna feel like that again. So every time I train, that's what I have in my head, especially when I go international. No way, it's not happening.
Whatever. But you know what? I've never ever seen you, or like, I've never seen. It's really weird, right? And this is where like everyone's gonna start calling me elitist and all this other crap. I don't give a fuck. I'm not elitist. I've never seen really, really good lifters knocking other really good lifters. Not often. Not within the UK that I've noticed. Anyway, I could be wrong, but I've not seen that myself. I've seen it in America every now and again, but I've never seen it in the UK. Like, I was sharing Tony's lifts. I think it was going up to All Englands and stuff like that. And I had quite a few people approach me and they're like, why are you sharing your competitor's lift? Why are you sharing Tony's lift? Why are you showing? And I'm like, what kind of fucking dumb mentality do you have to have when you're seeing someone benching 230, right, and near enough throwing it in the air, clapping, catching it, and then benching it again, and you think, I'm not going to share this. Like for me, it's not a case of like people hating on other people. They somehow seem to think that that's going to make them a better lifter, or wishing ill on someone else is going to help you win. Like, I've never seen someone super focused on somebody else and winning. Like, it just doesn't happen, because all that extra energy you could just conserve and use in your own lifting. And I had quite a few comments like that as well. People just saying all these people like just bashing other people if they put that much effort into their own training. I think it was the one that said, if all these people put that much effort into their own training, we'd have 8 GB like winners at Worlds. And I'm like, this is correct, because all this like energy that you're spending on hating on another coach or another lifter could be so much better spent on just your own shit.
Yeah, because I believe, right, when I look across Britain, Indy, again, if people focus on their training and focus on themselves, there are lifters out there that are better than me, better than you, better than Joey. People out there, they can come out today, if they focus on the training, we'll be looking at them thinking, oh shit, that's a monster. You know what I mean? We'll be talking about Britain go shooters for real. Do you know what I mean? Not just endurance, or not just. I'm sure there's a lifter out there is better than Tony Cliff, but unfortunately, these people don't put as much time and as much effort as Tony Cliff. That's why Tony Cliff is where he is. That's why you are where you are. So, which is really sad, really, really, really sad. But we all care about the federation.
I see this all the time, right? I'll see people in the UK, and there's nothing wrong with them doing this. Like, someone from America shares a lift and it's a good lift, and like they're sharing, they're like, their tongues out, they're like, woohoo, this person did this lift. But if someone in the UK did the same lift, they wouldn't share it. No. Or they'd be like, oh, who's that person coached by? Who is he? Or there's like snarky comments. I've seen it a million times. Like, we have some incredible lifters in the UK, but there'll be their group of people sharing their lifts and other group of people sharing their lifts. But if anybody from America or France or Sweden hits a lift, they're like, oh, I need to share this. And I'm like, imagine if you showed that level of support to your own people. Like, how much better that would be.
When I did my SPD this Saturday, when I posted it, I got people DMing me saying, oh, you taught 820 in training, so at the British, so you'll be happy with 15 kilo off that. I was like, I don't set numbers what I'm going to tell in my competitions. All I go on the day how I feel. Me and my coach have a plan. When that plan is executed, no matter, even if it's 780, 785, I don't give a fuck. The plan has been executed, I move on. That's how it works. The point of what you're saying there is, you get negative comment in Britain, right? Oh, he's done that, yeah, but that is in the gym. What is he going to put on the platform? Yeah, he's done this, yeah, but how much does he weigh? He done this, oh yeah, but he took like 20 hours between set before getting that set. But, bro, what the fuck?
how are you gonna deal with that? Like, this is why a lot of the anonymous, like when I was trying to find trends, eventually I was like, I'm fucking tired, bro, because all that negativity, like even reading through it is mentally fucking fatiguing. Like, you're looking, because if all you see is just negative, 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 eventually you're just like, you know what, fuck this shit. Like, there was, I know I said what, but the thing is, this is what I said. I said, what do you want to improve in British powerlifting? What do you dislike? But like, there was it was just bashing. It wasn't like most of it wasn't constructive in any way, shape, or form. And that's the way I think people behave with each other in British powerlifting as well. It's a case of X is doing Y, fuck that guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, my guy's better. I'm only going to share my guy's lifts. I'm not going to share this person's lift regardless of how good they're doing.
Hey, bro, I got.
My
Yeah,
last question.
Oh,
last
okay.
question to you,
Yeah.
Indy, right? Would be, do you think everything we spoke about in terms of like people bashing each other and all of these negative comments coming across things like the pose that you did, do you think it falls under the coach's responsibility as well to teach their lifter somewhere or another a way to behave, or do you know what I mean, or take themselves in? Because
Just to
when
have
you
some decorum or etiquette or something,
do
man.
you think it falls into a coaching responsibility as well?
No, I'll tell you why. And I'll be frank with that. I don't think that is in any shape or form. Like, I think that you're paying for a powerlifting coach. That powerlifting coach, his responsibility is to make you a better lifter, make you stronger, make you understand what you're doing, why you're doing it. Like, yeah, they can steer you mentally, to be like not focusing on other things, but you're not paying them to fucking babysit you and be like, this is very naughty, go stand in the naughty corner, you shouldn't think like this. Do you know, like, as a fucking a man or a woman, as a human, it's your responsibility to not be a dickhead. Like, this isn't that, it's you can't slopey shoulder this. You can't be like, oh, I only shared this because that person said this. Like, if someone says X to me, in my head, I'm not automatically gonna be like, right, X. Like, that's it. That's my thought now. It's that weird, like, bubble that we live in where we just want our opinions, like, to other people's opinions to be the same as ours, and everything to be the same. Like, I think that's a cop for me, like saying, oh, it's got to be the like, yeah, to a degree the coach needs to be like, you need to focus on your own lifting, or you need to focus on this, or you need to ignore this, or these external factors should be considered: sleep, nutrition, things like that. And these external factors, what X is doing, what Y is doing, what Z said, shouldn't be considered. That's as far as I think they should need to say. You shouldn't need your hand held and to be mollycoddled and be like, this is a sport that we pay for. We're not like, if this was our profession, I'd understand, but it's something we get out of pocket to do. Like, why are you letting that influence absolutely everything about the way that you think? Like, so I understand your point, and to a point, I agree that, yeah, like, a coach should be sort of settling their lifter down, but also on the flip side, it's not that coach's responsibility to fix every single like thought that you have and try and direct you, because that coach has other lifters, that coach has other things as well. Like, you should be a priority to that coach, but then so should the training of the other people that person's
man,
developing. Like, can you imagine being a coach, how fatiguing it would be every 5 minutes if an athlete just said, oh my god, why hit this number, I fucking hope he gets injured, why is he like this, oh, this really annoys me. That's essentially, it's like a baby throwing a tantrum in the anonymous. It's people doing that. It's like external things that you cannot fucking control, you will never be able to control, are so far out of your fucking periphery, it doesn't even matter. But they're kicking up an issue. Like, I know for a fact there's people who are even in my weight category offering me out on deadlifts, and I'm like, why are you bothered? Why are you bothered? Why is this a thing that's playing on your head? It makes fucking zero difference to your lifting, and if anything, it's going to make you do stupid shit. So either, for me personally, right, I know I'm going to have some people hating on the fact that I've said this. It's your fucking responsibility to screw your own head on right. It's your coach's responsibility to get you strong.
Yeah.
But you then can't just be like, I didn't get strong. Well, that's my coach's fault when you haven't put in the work.
Yeah.
You let external factors motivate you differently. Your coach has said do 270 for 2 reps. You've seen your mate do 280, so you're going to do 281 for 2 reps. That's not your coach's fault. That's just you being a knob.
Yeah.
I mean, people are used to change coaches like their underwear. So the next thing you see, they go to the next one. So that's part of it.
It's not. It shouldn't be a thing.
But yeah, brother. No, Indy. You know what? I did have one last question, but you actually covered it with that last bit right there. When it comes to like the external factors, like there should only be the external things that you should focus on, and there's other stuff that you should just not even fucking care about. But yeah,
because I could look at Tony's bench and be like, oh fuck this shit. Oh yeah, I'm moving to 120 plus. But I'm like, but like, how does that benefit me as a lifter? I'm like, bro, you are a fucking monster. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. I'm gonna focus on my training now. This is the only way.
Yeah.
To be like, I know your toxic 66 group chat. I know there's a level of like hate, but there's also a level of support. Like I know when it comes to the day, no one's going to be sat there looking at another person thinking, I hope you get injured. But I know that's there for people.
Yeah. No, but do you know what it is? No, I think that's the perfect example. Like we may chat shit about one another. This is the 66 group chat, right? I'm more than happy to speak about this. We chat shit to each other. Fine, granted, that's expected. But I promise you, we support each other like crazy. Like face to face, like we've all like hung out with one another. I know I haven't with each individual. We've hung out with each other. Everything was blessed. We're like boys. We repost one another. We tag each other and shit. Like we like yeah, cool. Like Kabira pulls 270, 260, whatever in training, and I'm like yeah, cool. Happy for you, bro. But there's no hate, there's no shade, no nothing.
I think that like the main takeaway for me is like just ignore if something's pissing you off. You gotta just let that go. Like instead of like focusing on that, just focus on your own lifting and your own positive like thoughts about things. And it's such a better way of just doing things. Like I know there's some insanely strong 120s out there, but what they do doesn't influence my training. I've never once asked any one of my coaches to be like, can we change this because X is doing this? Because I'm like, how is that really going to do anything for me?
Well,
and like
that, and you're not that individual. That's a completely different individual.
It's like I meme people. I at them. I tag them in there. They know who's memeing them. They know why I'm doing it. Like I'm straightforward. Like if I have issues with people, I'll say it to them. But there seems to be this sort of. So I think I'm gonna do an anonymous again, and it's not gonna be a bash anonymous. It's gonna be a what would you like to see improved in British powerlifting anonymous. I'm not gonna post any of the hatred towards other people. I'm not individual names.
You know what? That was gonna be my last question actually. Like I was wondering if you could put up another poll asking what do you like or what's positive about the British powerlifting and I wonder how many or lack of responses you get and how quickly it will turn to something negative again, bro.
I think if you do that, I believe if you do that, you should tag the Fed because somewhere or another, they have to see these things, right? And then I'm sure from your page, they've seen these things. Of course, we're not expecting an action to happen or anything to happen from this, but them to be aware, this is what people have been saying, and this is what people want. You know what I mean? So all the bashing and all of that, that's like comedy. But the serious stuff, they have to be aware of that.
I think I'm going to do one anonymous. What do you want to see improved in British powerlifting? And then another one. What do you like about British powerlifting? I'm going to veto some of the bollocks ones, some of the crap ones that are just bashing people or have no constructive criticism. There'll probably be a lot less responses. That doesn't bother me. But also what doesn't bother me is what people think of me. Like that's never been something that like I look at and be like, oh my God, why doesn't like me? That's it. I'm just going to stop powerlifting.
Is it because
don't give a fuck?
I always say to this, if people hate me or don't like me or they send me hatred DM, that's not going to change the color of my skin? No. Do you know what I mean? Well,
it's just it's a pointless thing. Like those are just external things, like things that are happening that are out of my control. Continue to do so, but like I think people need to focus on themselves a bit more.
Yeah, man. But bro, Indy, I appreciate you so much, man, for coming on. It was a fucking good chat. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And yeah, for everyone listening in, I hope you tuned in right to the very end, because this was a lot of like insightful shit, I would say, from start to finish. And yeah, man, Indy, any last words, bro?
Yeah, it's gonna sound like a shameless plug. Don't follow me, I don't care. But have a look at the anonymous when I do post it. And if you actually care, I'll try and tag British Powerlifting in as much as I can. And just be a bit more positive towards other lifters. Yeah, I know coming from me after that anonymous is like, pot kettle, but like,
Yeah,
I those opinions weren't mine. So
of course. Yeah. That was made by
my only
1,500
opinion is
other
that
people, bro.
Cocoa Pops. That's it.
Okay.
Kimchi, vegetarian games.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Okay, everyone. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.